Kristin Latt, arguably one of, if not the greatest FPO player of all time, announced on Instagram early this morning. I got up at 5 to run. 5:30. I'm a runner, just to flex on you. I got up at 5 or 5:30 this morning to run, and she had already posted this. So wow. I don't know what time it was at her time. Obviously, she probably posted like afternoon. But early this morning, I saw this, and I thought I was dreaming for a second because I was reading these lines, and I was like, what? So I'm going to just read you her post. And Latitude 64 has also made a post, and then we'll dive into what this could mean, and we'll go down the different routes of this, right? So this is what Kristen said. I know I've been a little distant lately, but sometimes I need to retreat into my shell to get a better understanding of myself. After taking that time, I've gained clarity and made a decision that brings significant change to my life. I've decided to end my season for this year and not begin another one next year, with no conclusive plans beyond that. Before this season even began, I had been wrestling with inner conflict, whether to go on tour due to family matters. I thought I could set those feelings aside while competing, but I ultimately ultimately found myself facing multiple injuries and severe anxiety. This made me realize I don't currently have the capacity to maintain the same rhythm that change is not only necessary, but long overdue. Deep down, I know my heart has been longing for it. Closing this chapter and stepping into the next has not been easy, but I feel at peace with my choice. I'm excited to create space for new experiences. I love playing disc golf and will stay active in the community, but looking to lean into other roles like organizing events with my husband and sharing my knowledge with others, while also having the opportunity to focus on my family and home. I'm deeply grateful for the many people and companies who are and have been by my side through so many beautiful years of my career. To my husband, who first believed I had what it takes to reach the top, your unwavering support means everything. To my best friend, Marja, who literally held my hand through thick and thin. What would I do without you? My biggest sponsor, Latitude 64, who made it possible for me to travel the world and compete on the biggest stage for nearly a decade. I couldn't ask for a better partner. And finally, my heartfelt gratitude goes to all my friends, family, and fans who have shown me so much love and support. You are incredible. Together, we've made it possible to turn something ordinary into a miracle. This will be my only statement on the subject for now. I'm choosing to focus on this new chapter and will share updates when I feel there's something more to say. Thank you for your understanding. So obviously the big piece of that
very interesting
is decided to end my season this year and not begin another one next year with no conclusive plans beyond that. So is it an official retirement? No, but it's possible, right? Because we do have confirmation that she currently is not planning to tour next year. And beyond that, who knows? She doesn't know. So this could be we might have seen the last of Kristin Latt as a pro tour player.
Yeah.
Latitude 64 also released a statement. She said since 2017, Kristin Latt's been an integral part of Latitude 64. In 2021, we signed a historic agreement with Kristen, and her career propelled forward from world championships and into the future. Latitude 64 has and will stand by Kristin's side. As Kristen enters a new chapter in her career, we will forge a path sustainable to Kristin's new life direction. While Kristen may not be touring in the near future, Latitude 64 will continue to provide opportunities to support Kristen. Even though one chapter is closing, we look forward to what Latitude 64 will be able to accomplish with her in the next one. Kristen, it has been a privilege to be a part of your success on the biggest disc golf scene in the world. You have inspired not only us, but thousands of people across the world with your performances, but even more so with your smartness, warmth, and kindness as a person. We are more than certain you will continue to inspire others with this next chapter in your life. Okay. So, Kristin Latt, the first sign of this was it got posted on Facebook and everything that she had withdrawn from Throw Pink Women's, which was like kind of her, we thought she was going to play Throw Pink and Tour Championship, and that'd be it for this season. Mm-hmm. She withdrew from both of those. So people were like, oh, she's calling it quits on the season. So now we know she's calling it quits on this season and is not planning to play again next season, which is honestly, it's terrible for FPO. Now, there's two ways to look at this. One, I'm looking at this as a fan of the sport.
Okay.
As a fan of the sport, this is awful.
Yeah.
Right? This is a terrible decision. This is a terrible decision for FPO. This sucks. Mm-hmm. As a human, it sounds like she's making the decision she has to make. She wants to focus on family, and it's very commendable that she's able to step back and be like, I am one of the greatest FPO players of all time.
Yeah.
Basically, the only thing that's holding me from being called the greatest is being there long enough to have the stats to back it up. Uh-huh. And yet, whatever's going on, time away from my family, I have to spend months and months every year in another country. I'm willing to throw all that away for my family. and whatever else is going on. That as a human, very commendable.
Yeah, extremely commendable.
Awesome. Yeah. But as a disc golf fan, this sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks, right? Because also in FPO, we were just now getting out of the Kristen dominance era, right? And what we were starting to see were the fruits of that era, where Kristen had inspired the next generation, the Silva Sardins of the world, and she had pushed the current generations, the Holland Hanley, the Missy Gannon, the Evelina Salonen, to these new levels where it wasn't the Kristen show.
Yeah.
It was still mainly the Kristen show when she played good, but we were starting to see little glimpses where, people were coming in, and even when Kristen was at her best, people were able to compete with her. And then what also sucks about this is what is burned in our memory is the last month of Kristen's touring when she got overtaken by the yips.
Yeah.
And her putting disappeared.
Yeah.
And that's the last we see of Kristen.
Which it sounds like it could possibly be
ever.
Because she wasn't fully in it.
Correct. Mentally, it makes sense.
It at least kind of gives us a little bit of a reasoning for the yips, which is nice to have.
It at least gives you context, but it does still suck that that's the last image.
End on that. Yeah.
Because we and wrongfully so, but also rightfully so, put Kristen on this pedestal where she seemed untouchable. Because for years she was.
Yes.
It's just Kristen's the player who doesn't make mistakes. Kristen's the player who is like, when is the rest of FPO going to catch up to Kristen? And then all of a sudden we see her slip, and it's like she is human.
Yeah.
She is missing putts, and that's the last we see of her. So that all sucks.
Yeah.
And what I do want to look at is, if this is her retirement, is she the greatest? Because I think that eye test wise, this is always the hardest arguments, right? Eye test wise, I do think that Kristen Latt is the best FPO player to ever throw a disc. I think that when she was at her best, she was the most consistent. She had the forehand, she had the backhand, and her putter was great, and she was able to do it on all stages. Okay? But she doesn't have the stats. So how much do people weigh each of these things? Because if we look at it, she has a total of 102 wins, 161 podiums, 184 top 10s at 188 events total. Now, this includes A tiers, B tiers, C tiers. So that's everything, right? That's not just Elite Series and Majors. She played 70 Elite Series and Majors. She's a 7-time major champion and a 2-time world champion. If we look at just major and elite events, right, you have Paige Pierce leading with 68 total wins. It's not even close after that. Valerie Jenkins comes in second at 45. Katrina Allen at 38. Des Redding at 37. Then Kristen Latt at 27. A full 41 wins behind Paige Pierce.
Wow.
Main reason for this, she only had 70 starts. Paige has 198 starts. Kristen's win percentage is actually the highest in history, with the exception of Marie Elsner, who has 2 starts and 2 wins. But if you have to have a minimum of 5 starts, we'll say, that throws Marie out because she's only played twice. And you have Kristen with 70 starts, 27 wins, which is a 38.5% win percentage.
Wow.
Over Paige has a 34.3%. And then some other notable names we just read, like Valerie Jenkins has a 30%, Des Redding has a 29%, Juliana Korver 25%, and Kristen did it in the post-Paige era / Kristen's really the one that ended the Paige era.
Yeah.
So arguably a harder era to win in.
Because Paige didn't fizzle and then Kristen came about.
No.
I feel like the fizzling happened during during Kristen's dominance.
Yeah, Kristen came in and from our eyes stomped Paige out.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it felt like.
That is what it felt like.
Now, how much that's accurate and how much is that perception, I don't know, but that's what it felt like.
It felt like Paige was not used to getting beat by somebody, and then that kind of like shook her.
Yeah. Because then if we go just majors, again, you have Paige Pierce with 17 all-time major wins. Then you have Valerie Jenkins with 16 all-time major wins. And then you have Katrina Allen, Elaine King, Des Redding, and Kristen Latt all tied at 7. The tough part for some of these players like Elaine King and Des Redding and Juliana Korver, who has 6, is their careers overlap apart. And this is a similar thing when you look at Climo, where their careers overlap apart, where the national tour, for some of them, didn't exist for their full career. and majors were much more scattered. There might have been some years where there were 2 majors, whereas nowadays we have 4 majors every year.
Yeah.
Some years, heck, in 2015 we had 5 majors, but modern day you get much more chances at majors, because if you look at it, Paige Pierce has not been playing the game nearly as long as Elaine King, but she has 46 major starts to Elaine King's 39. Same thing, Des Redding has 35. Juliana Korver only has 23 major starts. So there were less majors to play, so majors are a little bit tougher, whereas at least the Elite Series brings in, you get a little bit better numbers. Because then Juliana Korver had 87 major starts at least. Des Redding had 126. And Elaine King only had 78. Because, again, the national tour, which would have been Elite Series, didn't start until later in some of these players' careers. So the tough part for Kristen here in the GOAT argument is just the stats. Is because she just doesn't have the wins to back up. All we have is the eye test.
Yeah.
We basically just have the eye test, and we have her statistics across her career as far as her win percentage and stuff like that. But if this is it, if she does hang up the discs today and we never see Kristen tour again, I don't know if it's enough to call her the GOAT, unfortunately.
How many times did Kristen beat Paige versus Paige
question.
beat Kristen?
The only thing that Kristen does lead, I'll look that up right after this, in major and elite, which is just it's funny because, again, we just heard she has 41 less wins than Paige. 41 less wins than Paige. Yet she has made $42,000 more as a winner than Paige Pierce.
That's insane.
She's won 40 less times, but she's made $215,000 as a winner. Paige Pierce has made $173,000. It gets even crazier. If you look at major and elite, Missy Gannon's only won 14 times as a Elite Series or major winner, and it has $14,000 more than Paige Pierce in winnings.
Wow.
Paige has won 68, Missy's won 14, but Paige has only won 173,000. Missy's just won at the right times because those tour championships are Elite Series.
Well, big money Missy.
So, big money Missy. They call her that for a reason.
It makes a lot of sense.
That's
That's crazy.
I wonder if we you know what, because we don't have a lot to talk about today, I might look at this in MPO too and just see is there anyone that's that criminal? I was
thinking the same thing.
Where they're so far behind on wins but so far ahead in cash, because that's crazy. To only win 14 times, to be down, what is that? Literally 54 win difference, and yet she's made $14,000 more.
That's insane.
That's crazy. Now, Paige, I believe, no. Sorry, Missy Gannon is the all-time FPO Elite Series and major cash leader at $355,000. Wow. Kristen's at $345,000, and then Paige at $332,000.
All pretty close.
But I mean, what's crazy about this is if you look at top 20s, Paige Pierce has 188 to Kristen 69, and yet so she has 100 and what is that? 19 more top 20s, and yet has $13,000 less in earnings, total earnings. Wild. That just shows how far disc golf's come in this, because Kristen really emerged on tour in 2019. I think it's when she won U.S. Women's the first time, if I remember correctly. That's when she kind of emerged on tour, and from then to now, the money has just exploded compared to when Paige was winning, which is really unfortunate for the older players because you just peaked at the wrong time.
That's how life works.
That is.
How old is Kristen?
It's also a great question. She's not old. She's in her 30s.
Because my mind kind of...
She's 1992. She's 33.
Okay, so she's young. So my mind kind of goes to in this, and I don't think he necessarily had the same dominance era, but maybe he did, but it just doesn't feel like it because it was short-lived. It feels a little like Nate Doss. Whenever Nate Doss retired, how old was he? He was in his 30s. He was in the
young 30s because Nate Doss now he's still relatively young. He just turned 40.
So he was probably around 30.
He was probably 30. He didn't retire 10 years ago. He might have 2015.
I know. I kind of think he might have.
He probably retired at 30 to 33.
Maybe the same age.
Probably similar to Kristen. And it felt very similar. Just It didn't.
Yeah.
Doss didn't have the GOAT argument around him because he didn't have a forehand.
Yeah.
There was a lot of parts holding his game back.
It's true.
But he had a lot of potential.
He had a lot of
wins.
potential. Like it felt like his career was not done. Was nowhere close to done.
He came back and won. He has a Pro Tour win. I'm almost positive of it. I'm pretty sure he came back and won. He won Green Mountain Championships in 2017.
Wow.
Which I believe was a Pro Tour. I believe it was just an A-tier Pro Tour. But, I mean, he beat Ricky in 2017. I believe Paul Macbeth. That might have been one of the Paul Macbeth DNF tournaments. That was Paul's first career DNF. But, yeah, Nate Doss won that in 2017.
Dang.
So he, came back, but he never came back to tour. Because the other thing that's interesting in disc golf is Kristen is done, right, with touring. But that doesn't mean we won't see her play Worlds next year.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we won't see her play some majors. So there's this weird thing in disc golf of retiring from tour doesn't mean retiring from us ever seeing them again.
Yeah.
Because even though she has no plans for next year, when the Pro Tour comes over to Europe, who's to say she doesn't play all of those events? And we see she might have 4 Pro Tour wins next year, where she just shows up, sweeps the Europe, and then it's like, I'm done.
Pretty likely.
And that would just be crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the type of thing that could happen where in other sports like the NBA, if you're I'm not playing next year, you're not just going to show up
for a game.
Yeah, it's not like you're just going to show up and play a game.
Mm-hmm.
And saying the PGA Tour you saw sponsor exemption, so that could happen where some players could Tiger Woods will play occasionally on the tour. Nowadays he probably doesn't, but Tiger Woods could do something like that. But individual sports is the only time you see it where you can be kind of partially retired. But typically when a player retires from a sport, they're done. Disc golf, that doesn't necessarily mean it. So head to head, Paige Pierce versus Kristin Latt. Kristen is 40-11 against Paige with 3 ties. So she's beat her 40 times, lost to her 11 times, and they've tied 3 times across their entire careers. With 22 wins during that time going to Kristen. So 40 wins, 11 losses, 3 ties. So that means they both came in 5th in the event or something.
Yeah.
During those events, the 54 events they played, Kristen totally won 22 of them, came in 2nd at 17 of them, and 3rd at 4 of them. She has 100% top 10 events at events that both Kristen and Paige were at, and beat her by 360 some strokes. Their first time facing
heavily in Kristen's favor on this little scale here.
Correct.
Yes.
So the first time they faced each other was back in 2017 at U.S. Women's, where Kristen came in 7th, Paige won. They then faced at a few European events, 2018
so funny.
Worlds.
I don't remember even knowing her name back then.
No, you wouldn't have heard her name until 2019. 2019 is the first time I heard Kristin Lott's name because she won Canadian.
You didn't hear Kristin Lott's name.
I heard Kristin Tatar. She won Canadian Nationals. I didn't really hear it. I mean, Maple Hill in 2019, she came in 2nd at in August. So we might have heard of her then. We probably would have because she would have been on lead card. But the first time I distinctly remember it was U.S. Women's because that was in Virginia, in Spotsylvania, which is just outside Richmond. And she beat Paige by 4 at U.S. Women's. And it felt like, wow, this might be the future. The 2020, we didn't really see her. 2021, she comes back in, and that's when she wins D-Glow. She won Preserve. And then obviously kind of the rest is history. Because then, since then, she's been touring fully, and it's just been the Kristin Tatar show. Now the Kristin Lott show. Where she was just winning everything in sight. So, yeah, head-to-head, Kristen dominates Paige. But, again, Paige had such a dominant era before Kristen, from 2011 into 2019, that when Kristen took over, because Kristen's she was sponsored by Latitude 64 for almost a decade, but she really only fully toured for 5 seasons. Because we had, in 2019, I don't even think she really fully toured. So yeah, we had the 2021, 2022, 2023, but really 2022 and on. We only saw Kristen for such a short window.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so hard is she built up these career stats in such a small window. Because let me look at her PDGA page here and see when, I don't think she fully toured until 2022. Because 2019 was the first time we heard of her. And yeah, she wasn't fully touring. She basically came over at Worlds and went 6th at Worlds, 2nd at Maple Hill, won Canadian Nationals, came in 2nd at Green Mountain, won U.S. Women's. That was her season in 2019. 2020, like I said, we basically didn't see her. She only played 7 events. That was COVID year, obviously. 2021, we saw her at Worlds, and then she played like the second half of the season, it looks like. She basically started her season as far as touring goes in June. So, yeah, 2022 is her first actual tour. And that's when, I mean, she kind of lit it up that first year. And then, so we really only got 3 full touring seasons out of Kristen.
That's so crazy.
2022, 2023, 2024. Because then 2025, she full toured up until July.
Mm-hmm.
So she's missing this whole second part of the season. So yeah, really we got 3 full touring seasons out of Kristen. And it's like, that's the biggest argument I think for Kristen is the greatest of all time, is like she racked up these stats in such a small window.
Yeah.
Because even like her first major happened in 2019, but then 2020 she didn't play. So we really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total seasons of her playing major and elite series events at all.
Yeah.
But really only 3 of them are fully touring. And she still was able to do this.
You would just feel so much stronger about it if she ended that way.
Yeah, if she
That's the hard thing.
If this was, because what was her dominant year? Was that 2023? Was that when she just mopped the floor with everyone? I think so. Yeah, I think 2023. If this was 2023 and she just went through that and had arguably one of the greatest seasons of all time, then I think you'd feel a little bit different. But because 2024, she didn't sweep the majors, she still won a lot of them. And then 2025, she didn't win a major this season. She came in 2nd at Champions Cup, came in 6th at U.S. Women's, came in 2nd at European Disc Golf Festival, and then DNF'd at Worlds. So she didn't win a major this season.
She still played really well.
She still, that was the thing.
It's just that she didn't win everything, so it felt like she wasn't doing
that well.
Waco,
but she won Music City,
well.
She won Kona Peach Day, and she came in 2nd at Open at Austin, Champions Cup, Ale Open, Preserve, the European Disc Golf Championship, which is not a tour event, but all of Europe played. PCS Open she came in 2nd at, and the European Disc Golf Festival. And her worst finish that wasn't a DNF was 6th.
Never mind. She's still crushed.
Yeah. It was just at the end.
You just, there's some images that you can't get out of your head.
Correct. Because she should have won the European Disc Golf Festival if she could make a 10-footer.
I am willing, I completely buy the whole context of everything, and I think she was just, since she was already kind of, feels like mentally she was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that just she didn't have the dominance mindset that she, whatever you call Kristen's version of beast mode, but she didn't have that because her mind was kind of half and half. So I'm willing to accept that and be like, that still is that's why all that was happening. It's not that she started to crumble or anything, but it still is hard to let her go on that mental image.
Yeah, no, I think it'll end up being one of those ones that the people, us, if you're listening to Grip Lock, you're a diehard disc golf fan,
us
right?
Peoples.
Us in this era where we've been watching disc golf for the last 4 or 5 years, we will be the people who even throw Kristen's name into the hat as one of the greatest of all times a decade from now. If this is assuming she retires, which that's not official. Right, she could come back 2 seasons from now, but assuming this is it, and she is done, a decade from now, we'll be everyone will be talking, arguing about freaking Silva Saarinen versus Paige Pierce versus Elaine King, all of this, and we'll be the ones going, you can't just leave Kristen off that list.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? Kristen Latt has to be on that list.
Everybody taking Kristen off the table.
Yeah, and it's if you watched her play, you have that. It's similar to people who try to put Kobe Bryant into the greatest of all time argument. Is the only people that are going to try that is people who watched Kobe Bryant play. If you weren't alive and didn't watch Kobe Bryant play, or you weren't interested in basketball, then you're just looking at stats, and you're going to have to dig to find Kobe Bryant
there's
stats.
Definitely a feel whenever you watch a player who's just killing it out there.
That's what I'm saying. When you watch Kristen, you know what you were watching was the greatest FPO player of all time.
Whenever you watch her, you watch her and you know this is the best female disc golfer there's ever been.
Yeah. I've seen the coverage.
Yeah, you just know.
I know.
You just know.
But you can argue until you're blue in the face. You can't prove it.
It is very much. It's fun though.
It is fun.
It adds a fun little aspect.
So again, as a human, I think that it's great. I think Kristen's taking a step back, doing what she needs to do for her. As a disc golf fan, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I wish she was still playing in FPO. I wish she could figure it out. And I wish she was out there because it hurts the sport.
She made the whole field better.
Yeah. So I'm excited for where FPO is. I'd be a lot more upset if this was 2023 and Kristen left, because then it would be like, well, dang, yeah, we had nothing right now because Kristen just stomped all these people, and now we know there's someone out there. At least now there's like that doubt where it's like Silva's phenomenal, Holland Hanley's great, Missy Gannon's playing good, Owen Scoggins is having a heck of a season to close, Paige Pierce has had flashes of greatness, Evelina Salonen has had flashes of greatness. Like, at least there's that where we're not left empty. But we will miss Kristen. So hopefully she's able to figure it out next season, and whatever it is she needs to figure out, and maybe we can see her again in 2 years.
I'm interested to see, because all of it kind of felt like it was alluding to something. Like, not like they weren't trying to give anything away, but it felt like there was kind of a plan going on, and so I'm very interested to see what it is that she ends up doing.
Yeah.
Because it feels like she kind of she wants to continue on with something.
Well, I know pre-2019, her and Silver, they did a lot with, like, they had a disc golf, I forget what it's called, but they used to always wear it on their clothes. They had a disc golf, like, academy type of a thing.
Gotcha.
Where they just, like, trained disc golfers and did events. So I would assume they'll have a lot of success doing that still.
Yeah.
That might still be what Silver does. I'm not 100% positive. So I would assume that's part of it, that they can go back to doing that. And then, I'm sure a big part is just wanting to be home with her daughter.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of that. So if it allows her to still make a career she loves playing disc golf in some way, shape, or form, and she gets to come home and sleep in her own bed and, send her daughter off to school the next morning every day, then, I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, for sure. What does it mean for Latitude? It probably is something like that, because it's just that Latitude was very clearly like, we will continue to support Kristen, and like, I wonder what that kind of means, because if she was just leaving disc golf, then that wouldn't be the case, obviously.
She's definitely, yeah.
So like, I'm sure they'll probably, I would assume that Latitude probably will
we'll
help
probably
them
still
in that.
see Kristen discs.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was with Latitude before she was fully touring. I'm sure they won't sign her to $125,000 a year again, because it won't have the same impact. But
rude.
I'm sure they'll still support her.